Hello and welcome to another whiteboard training video. I'm Isaiah. Today we're talking about the project manager position. If you are interested in an industry career, this career might be right for you. We're going to talk about it and help you determine whether or not it is right for you. First and foremost, if you have been pursuing a project manager position or you've been reading about it, you've probably seen that there's a lot of different certification programs for it. As a PhD, you do not need to be certified. You do not need to be PMP certified. You don't need to pay thousands of dollars. You are already certified in this position. Because the transferable skill that is project management, which is also the job title of the project manager, is something you do on a daily basis. If you work in a lab or you're a TA, whatever you've had to do to manage the different projects, the research you have to do, which is also a project to get your thesis done, has trained you in project management. But there are some differences. So the way that you manage projects in academia are different than industry, but the same skill set, the ability to oversee things, to juggle multiple tasks, to coordinate, are the same. Now the reason that number one is that it's the number one transferable skill is because there was a large scale study done by Dow Chemical that asked what are the skills they wish new hires had. Specifically new hires in STEM, so sciences, engineering, mathematics, etc. What was the number one skill? They said project management. Okay, now you have the project management skill set, you have the basics, the understanding, you just have to be able to apply it to industry because it is a bit different. So first and foremost, know this is important. You should be mentioning it on your resume. You should be mentioning it in your discussions on phone screens, your interviews, etc., no matter what position that you want. But of course, you should be mentioning it if you're interested in project management positions. Now, what types of project management are there? So project managers on a day-to-day basis manage projects, but they use different methodologies. So in industry, you might hear about agile project management, also called the Scrum method. Okay, so in this scenario, there is a product owner who's like the visionary that says what needs to be done for a certain project, and then there's somebody called the Scrum Master. All right, so don't worry about the terminology. There's a lot of different there's a different nomenclature for different types of project management methodologies. But this person is the typical project manager that's solely responsible for removing obstacles from the developers, the scientists, right? This could be the people that are at the bench in R&D, removing obstacles so that these people can do their jobs. And that's your number one job as a project manager, remove obstacles. So if you go into an interview for project management and they said, what do you think you'll be doing in this role? Removing obstacles so people can get projects done faster. Okay, that's your number one role. What do you do secondly? You coordinate things, you open the flows of communication, you might manage budgets, etc., which we're going to talk about. But number one, you remove obstacles. Now, that's a little bit about agile project management. There's also waterfall project management. This happens a little bit more similarly to what you're used to in academia, where you might sit down right with your PI, talk about the project you want to complete, and then you start along the path to complete that project, but then things change as you go. It's not a very effective method. In industry, they don't use it as much anymore. They use agile or different types of project management techniques where things are broken down into shorter work cycles. So the terms of a project is set, the timeline is set, so 4 weeks to complete this project, and then during that timeline, nothing changes. Can you imagine how great this is compared to academia, right? So you set 4 weeks, you have project goals you want to hit, actual milestones set beforehand, team members, their roles set, and then you work for those 4 weeks until that's done. You don't work for 2 weeks and then have your PI come in and say, okay, we're going to change the project in this direction, or we're going to stop doing this and we're also going to pursue this, or we're going to go off on some tangent. Nothing changes until that work cycle is over. That's a key difference in project management from academia to industry, and you need to be able to talk about that, right? So when you're in industry, you're going to set a project, have a set timeline, set milestones, right? In academia, you probably have no milestones. You probably have these general milestones of a project to get done, and they always change. It's not the case in industry. In industry, there's the big three. When it comes to project management, you're going to be tracking budgets, timelines, and milestones, the project milestones. So there's going to be a certain deliverable. That's what I mean by milestones here. A certain deliverable, a result that will be shown at the end, meaning that that project is done when this deliverable is received. Okay, that's the first thing you're tracking. You're also tracking the timeline. How long does it take to get this deliverable? And then finally, what does it cost to get this deliverable? Budgets, timelines, deliverables, or milestones. That's what you're going to be tracking as a project manager in industry. Now, what is a project manager related to other similar positions? A lot of you are probably trying to understand this. The best way to describe it is, or to think about it, is that you're supporting something from conception all the way to bringing it to market and even beyond, right? Compare this to somebody who's going to work as a research scientist in industry. As a research scientist, you might be doing quality control. So multiple different projects come through, multiple different products or treatments or drugs that you have to test, and you test all of them using the same QC methodology or a variety of QC methodologies. Okay, so as those products come through, you're a point on the path of that particular product or drug or treatment. You're a particular point on the path of bringing that drug or product or treatment from conception to market and beyond, right? That's as a research scientist. So you would be testing lots of different drugs. As a project manager, you're going to be responsible for one product or one portfolio of products, one drug, one treatment, and you're going to nurture it all the way from conception to market or even beyond market. So you're going to support it once it's in the market. And you could do any sort of section of that as well. Okay, so this is really important for you to understand. You're going to be much closer to a particular project or product, etc., as a project manager in most cases, especially if you're getting into an R&D project manager role. So hopefully that helps you understand the difference. If you're thinking about, well, should I be a research scientist or a research engineer or a project manager? The project manager will support from conception to market and even beyond, and it just works a little bit differently. You're not sitting at a lab bench. Instead, you're doing a lot of coordinating, which was what we're going to talk about next. So number five, coordination and cross-functional activities. If you want to be a project manager, you have to use this phrase a lot on your resume, during phone screens, when you're networking, interviews, cross-functional work. All this means is that you're able to get things done. It's work that you do with people you have no authority over. You're able to get things done without having authority over other people. As a PhD, you're highly trained in this, right? Let's say you're a postdoc or a PhD student. You have to get stuff done with other postdocs, other PhD students, people in other labs, even though you can't fire them, right? That's cross-functional work. It means you have to collaborate. It means you have to be able to influence people and do things together, help them and then exchange that for them helping you. You have to coordinate time on instruments, etc. You have all of these skills. That's a big part of what a project manager does. You have to coordinate with many different departments. As a project manager, let's say in R&D, you'll be coordinating with the marketing team, right, to help have them produce materials that talk about whatever product or project you're supporting, right? Marketing materials. You'll have to work with the medical affairs team. You might have to work with the regulatory affairs team. You're going to have to coordinate with other departments too, maybe the executive department, the manufacturing department, all these different departments to make sure your project keeps moving forward. Okay, so you're like a central focal point, a communication hub for all the different activities that need to happen to move a project forward, to move a product forward, or to support a product that's in the market. Okay, so you have to be willing to communicate, and you have to be very, very organized. You have to be good at time management, and you have to be good at not getting upset easily or getting frustrated or being impatient, because you're going to have a lot of different people you're going to have to keep happy, a lot of different people you're going to have to motivate, a lot of different people who aren't going to be as motivated as you to keep the project moving forward, and somehow you have to herd all of these people together in this and align them in the same direction. And finally, project management at a higher level is called change management. Okay, so project management and change management, those two fields are kind of combined. So if you hear change management, what it means is affecting change in an organization, right? So like, let's say there's a project at the organization level that needs to occur, right? Let's say that the entire organization needs to start using a different type of software. The project is to get the entire organization using that software, and that is change management, which is similar to project management, just at a larger scale. So it's important for you to understand that, because those conversations might come up during your interview process. As a project manager, you might need to write change management as a transferable skill. You have this, right? Think about a change that's happened to your lab or to your classroom. Maybe there was a new type of course materials you needed to start using as a TA, or you needed to have the students start using. Let's say you're in a lab and there's a new system, a new software system, new types of reagents, a new vendor you had to start dealing with. Okay, that's change management. It's just project management at a larger organizational level. Something else for you to talk about, something else for you to include on your resumes and on to talk about during your interviews if you're interested in a project manager position. If you have any questions on this, please write your questions below. You can go to phdsgethired.com at any time and put your name and email on the Cheeky Scientists Association waitlist, and then we will send you all of our materials about project manager positions and all the different positions that might be right for you as a PhD. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.